Hello, everyone, and this is the wrong scene. Hold on. Please hold. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another stream. Hope you guys are doing well today. I'm doing all right. I'm definitely not 100% today, but, you know, what are you gonna do? Hold on, I'm just resizing. So Spotify, the program sucks. I hate it. I've always hated it ever since I switched to Windows 11, against my will, and Spotify became a built-in app. It only gets worse, TBH. And it always becomes so hard to fucking move the screen or move the fucking window around. There's only like a good spot to grab it, to yoink it from. Let's see. Is this? Yep, this is fine. Okay, we're good. Let me just resize everything. Once again, we're so angry at Bad Bunny. Oh, I figured I learned. So after that day, when I brought up Bad Bunny last time, I went into I did a little bit of research to find out why we're mad at Bad Bunny. I guess I should say I should remember why I'm mad at Bad Bunny. And it's because he did a Time interview. I think it was a Time interview. Hold on. I can look it up. Let's see. Where did he do? Maybe it was in Time. Who was it with? He did like this big interview. Is it not the Time magazine? Or maybe it was with Rolling Stones, actually. Was it him? He did an interview somewhere. Oh, I thought it was Time. Is it not Time? He did it. He did like this huge interview that they translated into English. And then but they also had the original interview in Spanish. It is Time's interview. Why are you lying to me? Why are you gaslighting me, internet, into thinking that he didn't do this? Is it this one? Is this not... Okay, it's the one where he has these fixture pictures. Yeah. Spotify's most... Yep. This is hitting as not you guys interviewing him. Ah, yes, it's this one. Okay. I'll throw it over here. And I will make this hide. And we'll do, not that one, this one. And I think we'll be able to read the majority of it. Oh, it's a little cut off. What if I... You just barely see it there. Okay. So this is Bad Bunny's interview that he did in 2023, I think, and this is in Spanish. he did it in Spanish, but he also did it in English. They translated it into English for the magazine, but like obviously you can also they also gave the Spanish one. And it's where he talks about it's when he was on the cover of the magazine. And he talks about Coachella. Honestly, they buried the lead on this one. Coachella, Hollywood, and only continuing to one up himself. Like, and what is he gonna do, right? So this was March 28th, 2023. And you know, most of this interview is fairly like it's kind of just like going over who he is as a person and like what it all means to him and stuff like that, talking about his activism and like what it means to him and what it means to other people. Like it said at the top, it's like a 34-minute read or whatever. Also, like, what is like being from Puerto Rico mean to you, and also what does it mean that you're kind of like the figurehead of Puerto Rico now, and if you think that's fair to you or not. It's pretty good interview. Also talking about, you know, Hurricane Maria that hit. He also thinks a lot about here's the one. And there's a reason we're in the Spanish one, because a lot of people will talk about this, that it was like a mistranslation, they didn't translate it correctly. So before this, the lead up, let's see. This is a question about Hurricane Maria and what it meant to him and how it represents Puerto Rico. But then the next one is how reggaeton, the genre, is a genre that gives opportunity to not only to make like dance music, perreo music, but also be able to talk about social and political issues. And you know, he very enthusiastically answers like, yes, you know, without a doubt. He continues to say that he believes that reggaeton and all genres of music are mediums to express yourself, like, and it always has been like that. Music has always talked about the good histories that are good, the bad, you know, the good, the bad, and the dangerous, and the things that are concerning in history. And so reggaeton is just another genre of music born from the streets, from the hood, essentially, el barrio. There's always been space and opportunity to talk about everything in the reggaeton. And that's why he has songs, you know, that are about dancing also for the discoteca, for the club. He has music for everything. Then the next question is, do you think that race and color are elements that are... Hold on. ¿Crees que los elementos de raza y color están involucrados en a quien tiene éxito? And then the next question is, do you think that race and color are can determine if you're gonna have a hit or not in the reggaeton, you know, in the space, in the culture? And then, so this is where things get a little bit problematic from El Bad Bunny. Remembering once again that this is a question about do you think that, you know, race and color play a part into who and who doesn't get, you know, noticed in the reggaeton. And then he says, people have asked me this before. And it's been a while since I've had a question like this. Inside my ignorance, I didn't understand it. I said that it couldn't be. I couldn't imagine it. I can't say yes or no because I haven't lived it. I also haven't seen it with my own eyes. Of that this person hasn't become super popular because of the color of their skin. I just simply haven't seen it. It would be irresponsible on my part to say yes. For example, they've asked me if Tego Calderon, a reggaeton artist, an artist of who is of a darker complexion, if they asked me if Tego Calderon would have been bigger if he wasn't black. But to my eyes, Tego Calderon is the biggest singer in the industry. Do you understand? Okay. I don't understand things in the industry that could be true. Maybe doors have been closed for the color of people's skin. Maybe a promoter preferred an artist because they were more black than them. But those things, but I don't know about those things because I haven't lived them. When they ask me, I told them, what? For me, Tego Calderon is an artist, the biggest artist in the genre. He's also one of my idols. ¿Qué quieres decir con no tan grande? ¿Qué quieres decir con no tan... What do you mean not so big? Who's bigger than him? And with that, hey, Galino. Also, hey, Bude. Hi. I'm talking, welcome in. Sorry, I was translating as I was reading this. I'm putting this up here because I think earlier this week or late last week, I was talking about how I wanted to listen to Bad Bunny, but I prefaced it with, we're so mad at Bad Bunny. And I was asked why we were mad at Bad Bunny, and I couldn't remember. Because it's anything that's longer than a year away, I don't really remember. I don't hold space for it in my brain. If there is somebody who I don't agree with something that they have done and they have not apologized, I simply remove them from my site and I forget about them. It's a beautiful thing about ADHD. If I don't look at you, I don't think about you. And I forget most about the situation, except I try to hold in remembrance that, hey, you're problematic, or you're a problem, or you're bad. I try to make that. And then I also made the joke that I should probably start making an Excel sheet to keep track of these things because I just simply don't remember what people did. So I did research after that stream, but I've forgotten to bring it up since then. But I hope you guys are doing well. Bude, it's good to see you again. And also, hi, Kalino. And so I did my research and I found out it was from this Time magazine interview, along with some surrounding things that Bad Bunny did at the time. So if you guys don't know, Bad Bunny is a reggaeton artist from Puerto Rico. He was one of the largest artists for the past like 2 years. He was a huge artist in 2023, although not the biggest, I think. But he was, I think, the biggest artist in 2022 on Spotify, and Apple Music, and possibly also 2021. I don't remember. He was huge. And then especially after Hurricane Maria and the other hurricane whose name, David, was it? The other one that hit them? Hit and devastated Puerto Rico. He made a very profound song called El Apagón, which means the blackout, because Puerto Rico is also notorious for having blackouts because they have a terrible, terrible electricity problem down there. And it is just like a potion of corruption, greed, and politics that keep the Puerto Rican people from getting reliable power 24/7. So, and Bad Bunny has also talked a lot about political issues. He's actually very progressive in that way. So much so that he has cross-dressed in his videos for not a joke, but rather for a statement before. And also he had an entire video where he had a lot of trans people in it, as a statement rather than than as anything else. So Bad Bunny, especially, being a man, popular in the reggaeton, holding space for all these people and always speaking like very well on Puerto Rico, the Latino women, and also, being so such a vocal ally. For the most part, we liked Bad Bunny. He also makes bangers, so like that helps a lot also. However, there was a couple of things that happened, and you can definitely track it to his popularity, to leading him astray, it feels like. Because we also have not heard from Bad Bunny in like a year or two, really. He's dropped some music, but not anything huge, and I think it could be really much related to the fact that he did this interview and then his actions, which I'll talk about here in a moment. But I wanted to read this in Spanish because a lot of people say that a lot of the commentary trying to defend Bad Bunny was that this was an issue of translation. And so now I've read it to you about as much one-to-one as I possibly could, with some of the words not existing in English. So, just compensating for those. So I have translated it one-to-one with the sentiment that was said behind those words, to the best of my ability. So reading it in English, we have, do you think the element, so like I said, the question prior to this is the question before this is reggaeton is a genre that offers the opportunity to not only do perreo style of music, reggaeton dance party tracks, but also address social and political topics. And then, he very enthusiastically, yes, undoubtedly. I think that reggaeton and all music genres are a means to express yourself. They always have been. Music has always told stories of things good, things bad, dangerous things, things that bother you. So reggaeton is just another genre of music. That's how I translated it. Therefore, that's not a great way to translate that sentence, but that is what he means. It just doesn't sound good. It includes sounds from the street, from the barrio, and there's always space and opportunity to talk about everything a little bit in the reggaeton records. That's why I have songs for the club. I have songs for everything. So the follow-up question is, do you think this is like, we're halfway through this interview. He's already touched on Hurricane Maria, talking about reggaeton. He's talked about what, Puerto Rico means for him. And also a question about like, if it's fair that everyone always pins Puerto Riqueño representate, like he is the figurehead of Puerto Rico essentially, and if he feels that's fair to him. So like this isn't a hard hitting question. Like, this isn't coming out of nowhere, right? This is very in line with the questions he's been asked. I just want you guys to know that, because the way he addresses this is as if it was out of nowhere. So it's like, do you think the elements of race and colorism are also, note how we start here with yes, or over here we have like, yes, undoubtedly, very enthusiastically talking about how political and social issues are something that are able to be addressed in reggaeton music. And that's why I think it hits very suddenly the way he responds to this question. Do you think the elements of race and colorism are involved in determining who is successful in the reggaeton space? They've asked me that before. It's been a long time since I've had a question like that. Within my ignorance, I didn't understand it. I said, that can't be. I couldn't imagine it. I can't say that yes or no because I haven't lived it. I also haven't seen with my own eyes that, yes, this person didn't become more successful because of their skin. I haven't seen it. It'd be irresponsible of me to say yes. For example, they asked me if Tego Calderon would have been bigger if he wasn't black, but in my eyes, Tego Calderon is the biggest singer in the industry. You understand? I did understand things about the industry that maybe are true. Maybe doors closed because of his skin. Maybe some promoter preferred an artist whiter than him, but those things I don't know. I haven't lived it. When they asked me, I said, what? To me, Tego Calderon is the biggest singer in the genre. He is one of my idols too. What do you mean? Not as big? What's bigger than him? So this is a question answered in at best sheer ignorance, you know? And if you've been asked this question many times, I would hope that you had thought about it. And it starts off with him sounding like he was going to answer the question with like, well, this is how I used to think and this is how I used to respond to this question. So let me set the record straight now by answering it, with my definite answer here. But no, he just doubles down on his original thoughts of just like, well, I've never fucking seen it before. So like, I can't say whether or not racism is a thing in reggaeton. Let me tell you guys here a thing real quick about Latino culture, especially in places where people with darker complexions are more have a larger population. Because just in general, Latino culture has a lot of colorism. I don't believe that there is a singular Latino or Hispanic culture out there that does not experience colorism. It's been an issue long before European colonizers came in, but it did exacerbate the issue, right? So, this is not something that like comes out of left field. Colorism is completely something that exists in the culture. In culture in general, I'm not even talking in the reggaeton, but in culture in general, one can easily extrapolate that, yes, colorism is something that impacts people's lives. Therefore, it probably impacts their lives in the music industry. And he uses Tego Calderon as like the biggest example. Like, well, if he's successful, clearly racism or colorism isn't a real thing. Is basically what he's saying right here. Completely negating everyone and anyone who hasn't been able to get to, yeah, exactly. If Obama can become president, exactly. It's such a typical like strategy to be like, well, if that one person's successful, clearly everyone can be successful. Like, well, if he became a millionaire, I can become a millionaire, So it's frustrating that, I'm gonna, if I can pause this, I'm gonna give us another 5 minutes before this ad plays. Yep. I have another snooze left. So, like I said, at best, it's sheer ignorance, but at its worst, it's it's racist propaganda, you know? Although racism isn't like the hugest thing, but in Latino cultures, it's more colorism. No one's gonna be like, oh, you know, that person from Africa. They're gonna be like, oh, that black person, and that it doesn't hold the same weight as it does here in the US. But it's like, and so this was a thing, right? And so he, after getting a lot of pushback from this commentary, he came back and on Twitter and responded by basically saying, I didn't say anything bad. I didn't say anything. Like, why are we doing this? Let me see. There's also another one. There's also another thing in this that was also problematic to other people. It was, I don't know, maybe I have to sit on it a little bit more. But in his well, I'm ignorant of it and I chose not to do anything about it. Exactly. And like the thing is that, like I've said before, Bad Bunny is typically a very progressive person. He's a young person. So it's not like it's something that he's not privy to, you know? Being from Puerto Rico, I feel like he has to see that smacked at. I see that when I go to Mexico, you know? Like colorism is such a very, very overt thing. So like it's frustrating, to say the least. So people are also upset about this other thing. Like I said, maybe I have to sit with it a little bit more to see if I am as upset with it as other people are. But he had a song called El Apagón in one of his albums called Un Verano Sin Ti, which had recently come out at the point of that article. And there's a very popular lyric that came out that's in that song that says, nowadays, everyone wants to be Latino. No, okay? Or he says, everyone wants to be Latino nowadays, right? But they lack seasoning. And that, especially in the late 2020 or early 2023, that's very, very prevalent, a thing that people are very much wanted to be, you know, suddenly a lot of people were claiming their Latino roots that had never claimed them before, right? And that's bothersome because they wanted to take the clout from being Latino because being Latino is popular, unlike it had been in the past. He could just ask someone. He must know black. His favorite artist, Tego Calderon, is a black artist. Also, the Dominican is right there. So like, it's not, like I said, it's not like in the reggaeton there is a lack of black artists. But also, colorism isn't just towards black people, it's also for people who are just darker skin tone. Bad Bunny himself is of a lighter tone. If you guys don't know what Bad Bunny looks like, that's what he looks like. Which is fine. There's every shade of color of a Latino out there. No matter where you are on the coast or, you know, through Latin America, you're gonna find people of every color. Excuse me, it's a woman. I think I know if racism is still a thing, and I saw a black guy on TV last week, so exactly. So that's where I'm the most mad about it. I'm gonna let this ad play, and then we'll talk about this other controversy here, and I'll try to pull up his quote unquote apology, as this ad's about to play. Let's see. Oh, here we go. That's a terrible. That's a shitty. That was a nothing article I just read. That's upsetting. But yeah, so it's like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating, and that's why we're mad at him. I say we. I'm mad at him. A lot of people are mad at him.
Hello there.
Hey, story goer. Hello. I'm so sorry you're here at the moment an ad's about to play, but hi. How are you doing? This ad's going to play any second now. I don't know when, but at some point it'll start playing. Oh, the ad won't hit you. That's right. Well, hi. How are you doing? Another victim for the ad zone. Welcome in. Welcome in. Last week or the week before last, or maybe it was this week, I talked about wanting to listen to Bad Bunny, but me being unhappy at them. And I couldn't remember exactly why. And so I went through an entire I did a little bit of research to figure out why we were mad at him again. And that's what we're going over right now, because I didn't have that. Got that turbo as can't touch me. Can't touch me. To colorism issue. I'm gonna look for this. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting. Hi. Twitch Turbo means it's hammer time all the time. I should be writing ad copy and making the big buckaroonies. I'm telling you. Did he? Oh, did you guys do another interview with him? Oh boy. Ugh, it's behind a paywall. Let's. I'll trust that this person got the right stuff. Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Back from the ad zone. It was lonely there and cold. I'm so sorry. It's okay. We're back. All right. This person has very graciously given us the rest of this. He did an interview with Rolling Stones a couple of months later, it looks like. But it's behind the paywall. He did this in June 21st, 2023, which is funny because he did a Coachella thing that year. So in timing, smile. But yeah, so the response to this in the Rolling Stones. Oh, hold on. Is there anything on this page that's bad? Okay, as far as I can tell, everything's fine on this page. So this person adds from the Rolling Stones interview in regards adds a basically direct response to his time interview. The quote goes, but more complex conversation might require more of Martinez. I'm assuming the interviewer. Given this is Bad Bunny's last name Martinez? Are you referring to Bad Bunny by his God-given name? Hold on. What is Bad Bunny's name? Like IRL name. His full name is Benito. Okay, let me look at the whole thing. His full name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. Did you not want to put Ocasio? Does he not claim Ocasio? And it's one of like those things that like they made him choose one of his last names in the US. Anyways, Martinez is Bad Bunny. But a more complex conversation might require more of Martinez, given his position in the industry. One involves colorism and racism in Latin music, forces that mean a white-skinned artist like Martinez, not too much now, can become a superstar while Black Latinos remain largely absent from the highest levels of the music scene. In his Time interview, he was asked whether elements of race and colorism played a role in who succeeds in reggaeton. Because I haven't seen it or lived it, he was quoted saying, I can't say it'd be irresponsible of me to say yes. To many, that answer felt dismissive, you think? As if he couldn't be bothered to notice. When I bring it up, Martinez claims it's another comment taken out of context. In his full answer, published in a separate article by the magazine, the quote is part of a longer answer about how his views on the topic have evolved, which would make sense considering how that started, or that excerpt was. To me, he says, he didn't want to speak over the experiences of people who have suffered racism. I'm Latino, Caribbean. My skin is white, he explains. I felt rejection in the US, maybe in some places because of being Latino. I felt rejected in a world where there's a lot of rich people and you can have 100 million in your bank account and to them, you're looked down on for being Latino. I can't speak over the experience of other artists. It's obvious that racism, colorism exists in parts of the world in all industries. And people in this forum go on to be still kind of upset about this. Because he should have just said that. It also feels a little weird. It feels a little bit weird for them not adding that into that Time magazine, considering it was already long and considering how sensitive of a topic is. Them throwing him under the bus feels kind of unrealistic. But like, I don't know, man. It rubbed me the wrong way. And also he is just like not, I feel like it's not enough. You know, like if I said that, if I came out and I said, and this was like, I had a whole diatribe. I did like a whole little mini speech about how like back in the day, you know, I didn't understand really the complexities of race and colorism in not only a genre I live and breathe, but also that of, you know, my brothers and sisters in the industry. And I didn't feel but like, you know, we were all coming up at the same time. I never felt that happening. And it was just obviously my issue. It's something that very clearly exists. And now I've stepped back and I've listened and I've paid attention. And now I understand how prevalent colorism and racism is an issue in our industry. And it's something that needs to be addressed and removed from the scene, because all it does is hold us back as people and as a genre and as an industry. There's no difference between me, someone whose skin is white, versus someone whose skin is black. Um, like if that was my entire speech that I gave, and then they cut it down to just talking about how back in the day, I, would say things like, I can't speak on racism because it's never happened to me or anyone I know. I've never seen it with my own two eyes, and it doesn't feel responsible for me to answer that question. But I also said the second part, and they only put the first part in the article. I would, on my agent, immediately on the phone, immediately calling a time, being like, what the fuck? What is this? I'm on social media. I'm immediately saying that that they truncated this part of the article. And all they kept was the first part of what I said and not the rest of it, in where I talk about how I've grown as a person. Like, immediately before any of this becomes an issue, I'm on the phone talking about it. It's such a big and important issue. Also, not one that he's not privy to, because he's also was very vocal during the Black Lives movement. The Black Lives movement. He was vocal during that. So it's not like he's a stranger to any of this. So the fact that it took him to June, the end of June, to talk about this, when the original article dropped in March 28th, 2023, that's April, May, June, that's 3 months it took for him to respond to this in a way that's even just talks about it, even a little bit. There's nothing I could do. Like, I don't care what my PR person is telling me. I am simply answering this on social media, Like, and he might have said something, but it wasn't anything that was really satisfying. But yeah, a lot of people also talk about how they took a lot of things out of context. But I mean, I read you guys it in Spanish. And it's basically exactly what they translated. It's not a sophisticated translation. It's a one-to-one translation for the most part. But it's not like they took him out of context. The most egregious thing is if they really did truncate what he said, then I'll put that up there for my Spanish readers out there who may want to. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. For my Spanish readers out there, he may feel inclined to read that. It's up there. But that is where I felt more issue. And then, like I said, there's also some discussion about what he said earlier in this interview, when he kind of backtracked on his words from El Apagón, in which he talks about being upset about people who were Latino but never claim being Latino. Do you just not want me to read that article again? Smile. There we go. I didn't find as much issue with that. He just backtracked and was just like, I was angry and I've stepped back from the situation. Like, I apologize for being so dramatic about it, I think is basically what he said. I'd have to find it again. But he just kind of backtracked on it, his words, and like I said, just that. But a lot of people just did the whole kissing his ass thing, and were just like, instead of holding him accountable, they kind of just were just like, he's done so much good before. So yeah, it comes up as naive but understandable. But also the thing that gets me is like the question right before when he's asked about, social and political, they did lead him into this a little bit. So like, it was a little unfair if he's unprepared. He was unprepared, but I feel like I don't feel like anyone here at this moment would be caught by this trap. Like I feel like all of us would just be like, yeah, of course, racism and colorism takes into account people's opportunities. Like, what kind of question is that? Of course they do. Like the previous question in which they're just like, reggaeton is a place where you can have music, danceable music, but also be able to address things, social and political issues. And very enthusiastically, Bad Bunny answers, because he has been a huge proponent for so many social and political issues for so long. And the fact that he was so lukewarm on the next one is concerning, is all it's what I didn't like. And I didn't like his response to it, really. I don't like how long it took him to respond to it. And like I said, he has, as someone who's very, very loud with his allyship in other ways, the fact that he has done nothing for allyship now to kind of like apologize for this, which is something that Bad Bunny would do, I think is more telling than his response in that Rolling Stones article. But yeah, so that is why I'm mad at Bad Bunny. I'm not canceling Bad Bunny, because I do think Bad Bunny has done a lot of good. But I also think that he needs to do something, especially in the reggaeton. Whereas he talked about with Tego Calgadoron, there's plenty of people who are darker skinned than black in the reggaeton. So, agreed. Honestly, the naive take is the best I can offer there. Like, he should know better there. Exactly. Like I said earlier, it's at worst, it's ignorance. Or at its best, it's sheer ignorance. At its worst, it is propaganda. I don't think it would be that. I don't believe that Bad Bunny is a racist. I think Bad Bunny is a successful light-skinned man I think he is a successful Puerto Riqueño light-skinned man who has gotten a lot of opportunities. Honestly, I have no reference points for this whole conversation other than the fact that racism and the fact of less than complete representation of their opinions. Yeah. So it's just like I said, racism is an issue in Latin American countries, but colorism is a much larger issue. People will always be more concerned about the color of your skin than where you came from. If those two things correspond, then that's, almost a moot point at points. So it's annoying. The most generous Reed is a big misstep and not being mindful of his PR, and doesn't have good public representation, representatives, people minding his image on that front. Yeah, like I said, biggest artist at that time of writing that. So the sheer fact that he didn't have people immediately on it is concerning to me. I will say that if he's a professional musician, the logistics of touring, constant massaging and maintenance of relationships with multiple levels of management, doing label promo work, it's possible that he honestly didn't take the time to read article when it came out. Absolutely. And I think it would speak a lot about the people around him if no one immediately told him about it, because the backlash was immediate. People read the article and immediately were like, what the fuck, Babani? What the fuck is this? The think pieces were immediate, which is also why it's a little concerning. He also had some other PR issues happen that year. So it was really a culmination of a few things. And then I think the thing that really like dug the heel in the entire situation for a lot of Latinas who really enjoy Bad Bunny was the fact that he had recently broken up with his longtime girlfriend, who we learned that in one of his most popular songs, I think it's Yo Perreo Sola. Is it this one? Maybe it wasn't Yo Perreo Sola. There was some song. Well, I'll play it anyways because it's a good song. It was either it's that, I think, or something else where she does his tag for him, but they took her voice and they added it to a lot of his music, and she never got proper credit for it, and therefore didn't get any like royalties off of it, nor paid at all for it. So it's something she went after him a little bit for. But as soon as he broke up, and so Bad Bunny has always been very, very open with being a huge proponent for Latina women and how beautiful Latina women are, and honestly just gassing up Latina women in every way, shape, and form in his music. And then he made El Apagón that same year, in which he talked about how people are always trying to act Latina or starting to claim being Latina or look Latina, culture vulture being Latina, now that it's convenient for them, now that it's like, it's popular, when we all know that like that wasn't who you were interested in before, and you look down upon them, especially here in the US. That's basically what that line from El Apagón was. And then he turns around and starts dating Kendall Jenner, one of the Kardashians. After all of that, one of like some of the most vultures of the cultures. So as the whitest, like maybe his PR team flubbed the ball, not him. Yeah, I agree. I like a good PR team, a good even team around him, just having good friends. I feel like that should have been addressed. In general. I don't know. I'm not willing to like let that slide for him. He had the most popular like Instagram, I think, for a while. As the whitest Puerto Rican most folks I've ever met can confirm that it's a weird way to be Latina. Yeah, dating a Kardashian and hella questionable taste. Yeah, I believe they're still together. I don't know which one it is. So I don't know anything about any of them. They keep multiplying. I didn't realize there were as many as there were. I think it's the two youngest ones. I thought they were the same person for a long time. I understand that there is a show literally called Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but I have not kept up with them since the beginning, so I really don't know much about them. So I could not tell you which one he's dating, nor any of the indiscretions that she has had in the past. I could go on. I agree. Yeah. I could go on, but it's kind of the thing best expressed in a proper rant than trying to fit it in the chat box. Yeah, I completely understand. Down. Yeah, not trying to make excuses for him. Just saying that if he's with a label, the label takes a lot of that stuff out of the hands from the artist and tends to insulate them so they can focus on making more money for them. Yeah. In terms, yeah. I same as Buddha. No, I totally get that story, girl. It's just straight up. It just straight up. If that's what his team did for him, it was the hugest misstep of his entire career. I don't think that his listens have reflected his prior popularity. Since he made that comment, a lot of people just kind of like dropped them. Let me see. What have you done, Baboni? Let me be generous and only look at the things you did this year. All right, he did a feature with Mike Towers. Don't know who that is. But that did pretty good numbers, 323 million. Ooh, Una Velita is just his song alone. Came out in 2024, single, 32 million. That's horrific numbers. He did another feature with Rauw Alejandro, 72,000. And then most recently, he dropped a song called El Club, which doesn't even have any plays, which may mean it might have just dropped, but I could not tell you anything about it. And in fact, it may have just dropped as we're talking. But to give you perspective, Un Verano Sin Ti was the album that had just recently come out when he made that interview. He was basking still in that popularity and being the #1 artist on Spotify and stuff like that. His most popular songs off of this album, Moscow Mule, the first song, has 1.2 billion plays. Me Porto Bonito is almost at 2 billion plays. It's 42 million away. Tita Me Preguntó, 1.6 billion listens. And Efecto is at 1.4 billion. Ojitos Lindos, 1.5 billion. And Gallita is 1.5 billion. The rest of the songs range anywhere from 300 million to just under 1 million or 1 billion plays. So he has not been able to like find that same. So breaking news, apparently he just dropped a song called El Club. We will not be listening to it. But yeah, so that's to give you a perspective. If that's what they did, then honestly, it was a misstep from everyone involved. But yeah, so I just wanted to, I've been sitting on that for a while because I keep forgetting to bring it up during stream. It just doesn't come up. But since I'm listening to Bad Bunny again today, because I need something a little bit more upbeat to keep the brain headaches away. We're listening to Bad Bunny. And it reminded me like, hey, I did the research on this actually. I now remember and I know why we're mad at him. I did the research so you didn't have to. All right. I have actually classified all of these now. All these we have a list of items now, so I'm just going to do this now before I forget. And so I can place these where they need to go. I am still thinking about how I'm going to do this game. I spent a good bit of time today just staring at, I already have diamonds, staring at some stuff. Basically the setup I had yesterday. And that is part of club. Diamonds has marbles and jacks. Cool, cool, cool. All right. We're sitting pretty. Hey, we have an ad playing here in a second. That scared me once again. As a metalhead, finding a new band is an absolute minefield. I can fucking imagine. God, the absolute amount of artists that like have just been so problematic for my childhood. I'm just like, ooh. I'm just like, I simply am not going to voice anything about anyone at all anymore. I do not claim any of them. All right. Let's get into spades. Let's make our actual spade. And make a shovel. All right, this will be shovel. I'm not doing any of the like top bit, the bottom bit. None of that is being affected because I simply don't have anything for that at the moment. I also think I want to make the outside. So I'm toying with the idea of, you know how I'll talk about it after the ad. You know what? I'll talk about it after the ad. I forgot that an ad's about to play. I'll talk about it afterwards. Let me tell you, I don't love that I'm doing realistic colors because there's so much pressure in picking the correct color. Hey, what does a shovel look like? Y'all ever think about what a shovel looks like? Oh, apparently there are many shovels, but I just want the regular shovel. The regular schmegular shovel. Oh, there was a whole thing you guys said about names. Yeah, yeah. About the mom name, the dad name. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did see that. I do know that. I am familiar. Hold on, I'll go find it again to see what you guys said. I scroll up on this one. You know what? Maybe I won't read what happened. What you guys said. Ah, here we go. Yeah, the last name is usually the mother's name. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, first is dad's name, the second one is the mom's name. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I am familiar. But when you move to the US, there is no precedent for that. So when you get your social security card, when you get all your forms and stuff, there's no precedent for that. And if you don't really know what they're asking, you get kind of stuck with you get kind of stuck with a bastardized version of your name. So you have so here in the US you have your first name, your middle name, and then your last name. And the last name you usually hyphenate it if you have two names. You're not, I don't know, maybe they might have changed it since then. Since my parents had their names destroyed by the US. But in Latin American countries, you have your first, or at least in Mexico. I won't speak for everybody. But you have your first name, you have your middle name, then you have your father's name, last name and then your mother's last name. No hyphen. No, that doesn't exist here. So when you come to the US, they take off one of your names or they disregard you either whatever your middle name is, or if you don't have a middle name, they just boop up one or the other. So for example, I think this is how it worked for my mom when she got her papers here. She has her first name. Her middle name is her maiden name, or her mom's name, and then her last name. Before she got married, her maiden name, is her father's. But in Mexico, we also have a lot of de, which in English just means of, because there's a lot of ownership names. Hey, remember colonization? Hey, you guys remember when colonization was a thing? Slash still a thing? Well, a lot of names are like you guys are very familiar with Guillermo del Toro, right? Like Guillermo del Toro. This means of Toro. Toro being the family name Toros or the Toros. So my parents both took their confirmation names as their middle names, which caused a lot of paperwork problems recently because that isn't a real thing to the government. Yeah. Yeah. My dad was previously married, and in his mind, I don't know what beautiful little backflips my dad's brain did, but he took the his wife's last name and made that his middle name. So now on his official papers, he has his first name. His first name. He has his ex-wife's middle initial. He has his ex-wife's last name, only the initial. He doesn't have the whole name. He has the initial, and then he has his family's last name. It's just, honestly, they just let you do whatever the fuck with your names. Which is why it's so weird to me where there's all these people that are so like fucking full of themselves about people changing their names, specifically like people who are trans changing their names. I'm just like, fam, I don't think you know how fucking little the government cares about people's names. Like, there was no, like, even jealousizing of my parents' names. They just fuck them up. And it's also not an uncommon thing to happen. They will fuck up your names. One of my parents' birthday is wrong on one of their certificates. I don't remember if it's the one in Mexico or if it's the one here. But I grew up thinking one of my parents' birthday was one day when really it's actually a different day on paper. So when I was filling out my FAFSA for college, I put in that parent's birthday. What is happening right now? Oh, I know what's happening right now. You guys can't hear, but I could hear it. Sorry. Sorry. Hey, did you guys know it's Taylor Swift's last weekend doing the Eras tour? So I had usually she starts before now, but she's actually finishing in Vancouver. No, yes, she's in Vancouver. So, and I'm learning that Vancouver is apparently on the opposite side of this landmass than I'm on, despite being in the middle. And so that music just started playing, and I was just like, who the fuck just did that? Anyways, there's like government fuck up names, dates, years, genders, anything that could be fucked up on your papers, it will be fucked up. Just because yours isn't fucked up doesn't mean that someone else's isn't. I never understood the resistance to allowing people to change their names or genders or whatever. People do it all the fucking time because the government is stupid. My wife didn't want to lose her family name when we got married and was torn about hyphenating. I offered just to take hers because I don't give a fuck. She decided to hyphenate. Oh, that's so cute, Bude. Yeah, I don't use my second last name because it's usually misspelled by even people back in PR. I can't bear to think what folks on the mainland would do to the poor thing. Oh, I'm so sorry, Dan. I always wished my name was the other way because I hate my last name. And not just because I don't like the name. Oh, I will allow that. Sex waste. Oh my god, my biggest joy in life is just figuring out what the fuck Automod is gonna tell me during these. Automod held message for reason, sex-based terms. And you know what? That's fair. They didn't give you a threat level this time, Bude. I honestly just don't think you're trying hard enough. My coworker Ken was Khan, and the government just fucked his name up. He found out Kenneth meant handsome and decided to keep it. Oh, poor Ken, poor Khan. It's like, it's just like, yeah, they'll just like do whatever the fuck they want. So I don't truly understand. I was so confused for the longest time why people were like up in arms about it. Because I guess they're just not privy to what that entire, honestly, if they can get through the process of changing their name, fucking on that should be enough for people. Do you know how annoying it is to change any of your government documents? And especially the older you get, that shit's wild. And also expensive. So like, let them do whatever the fuck they want. Like, chill out, John Proctor. It's your name. Just change it on the paperwork. That's what I'm saying. It's so stupid. The people who have issues with it. But yeah, so in Mexico, we have a lot of these things. We have a lot of qualifiers of the Toro family, of the Leon family. I'm sure you guys are familiar with some of the colonizers. You know, the Ponce. There's a lot of they both mean of. They are the property of that family. Typically, that is a Spanish family from Spain. Also, fuck them. I have changed my whole arse name as a result of the transition. Don't get me started. Yeah, 1,000%. Sorry, out of left field, the Crucible reference. Oh, John Proctor. That's where it comes from. No, you're good, Bude. There's just so much idolizing of Ponce de Leon in PR. Gross. Not in Mexico. And so this becomes a little issue when you're giving your name, because here in the US, they do not like to give you a space in between your name, because as soon as you put a space in between names, that's a different name. So they're smart enough now to not do Del as your middle name and then Toro as your last name. They will just omit the Del and they'll just put Toro back there. Or whatever last name feels more appropriate. So that is the story of how fucky it is to get your name USified. It's so dumb. also why fuck Spain. Did you guys know that Spain is very desperately trying to get more people into the country so they can have babies because they're having a little bit of a spawning issue? And so they've started offering Mexicans free citizenship if they move there and they have kids. They will pay them to do so. Do you know how many people have taken them up on that offer? I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, not a lot of them. Some people have, because they don't respect themselves, but most people have not. In fact, I believe most people have simply laughed at them, as they should, because fuck them. They're also still really fucking racist. I don't know if you guys know this. A lot of people will always be like, hold on, not too much on Spanish people. You know, Spain, they're not their ancestors. It's not, they colonized you guys such a long time ago. Like, don't blame their offspring for the sins of their ancestors. I'm like, first of all, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. Second of all, those Spanish motherfuckers are still fucking racist. Like, they still talk to Mexicans like they are less than. Again, I cannot speak to other Latinos and other Hispanics, but they are still spoken to less than by the Spanish. You can't go to Spain and speak Mexican Spanish or anything but their fucking snake ass language and get any respect over there. You're better off speaking English over there than you are speaking Spanish, because there are racists. Sorry, how to say it in Spanish to get the proper feeling into it. Eso tiene que saberlas. No, you're good. Honestly, as you should, Dan. As you should. They're so really wild about El Cid to the end of being, also to the end of being Islamophobic as well. Even though El Cid was actually based AF, I was so happy when I found out my ancestor is primarily from Basque region rather than Spain. My biggest fear in life is finding out how much percentage Spanish my blood is. I have such a huge fear because I know what my skin tone is. I can see it with my own two eyes. Although, and I know it's genetically in there from back in the day because my grandfather, real Mexican. My grandfather's on my mom's side of the family is so, you could see the indigenous blood, but my grandfather's eyes were also light blue. So this man, dark skin, dark ass indigenous looking motherfucker with really, really light blue eyes, ice blue eyes. I've never met my grandmother, but she was a little bit more fair skinned than my grandfather. My dad's side of the family, I've never seen the picture, nor have I ever known my dad's father, my dad's side grandfather. But my grandmother on that side was a fairer skin, and she definitely has the Spanish nose. They're also all motherfuckers on that side of the family, so I just assume that Spanish blood is more prevalent over there. A lot of them are also very light skinned, so, but my dad's not. My dad also is much more moreno than them, so meanwhile, my mom's, I think, the lightest of the family. Of the 11 kids over there, I think she's the lightest one. And my dad's one of the darkest ones on his side of the family. I just came out with fairer skin, but I tan real dark. So if I'm out in the sun, I catch a tan real quick and I get real dark real fast. In marching band, we spent a lot of time outside and I learned that very quickly. I also have we learned Spanish in high school. They taught us Castellano, yeah. I was so annoyed. It's wild that they teach. I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, I think about it often. Because you'll hear people speaking in the colonizer Spanish, and I'm like, no one's gonna know what you're talking about. Like, what is it? What do they always teach you guys? ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Or something like that. Always telling you ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Or something along those lines. I don't remember what they teach you guys. I took Spanish class, but I took a native speakers Spanish class because I'm from an area with a lot of Spanish speakers. I've never called a library a biblioteca. I just call it a libreria. So like, and there's also like a billion ways to call to name a pen. Like the fact that they're teaching you Spanish from Spain is wild when there are such wild variations in Latin America. It's not a one-to-one, but I found a bit of a useful analogy to explain the Spain-Latin American vibe. It's kind of like the American-British Empire. Analogy doesn't hold up if you poke at it too much, but NVibes are perceiving Spanish accent as posh, like Americans perceive the British accents are there. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. See, in PR, we'd call the bookstore libreria and the library biblioteca. I don't even know what I would call a bookstore in Spanish. I'd have to ask my parents. It's never, weirdly enough, never come up. No, my mom says, let's go to the libreria. I had never heard the word biblioteca until school, and we'd gone to Barnes & Nobles a few times. But yeah, pens, straws, like the things you drink out of, pens, the ones that you write with, pencils, erasers, foods like omelets, the wraps known as tortillas in Mexico, and I think as most people know them, tortillas don't mean the same thing everywhere in Latin America. I was like, oh yeah, I'll take Spanish. That'd be more useful. The US school system. No, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, what is it? I was taught Spanish by a Peruvian. I called him in my head. I called him Mr. Luigi because he looked a lot like Luigi from Mario and Luigi. He was also very short because he's Peruvian. And Peruano. Peruvian, God, so many. English is just such an ugly language sometimes. This Peruano, I don't remember his name, but I do remember that in my head I called him Mr. Luigi. And he taught my Spanish for native speakers class. And we had a lot of discussions about the names of different items and how you have to be really careful speaking Spanish when you go to different countries, because sometimes you don't know what you're going to say to somebody. And he was telling us, he used the example, this was a high school class, the example of an eraser. Because an eraser, you know how you'll call, this one translates to English pretty easily. But you know what erasers are made out of, right? It's like a rubber erasers, right? And some people call them erasers, some people call them rubbers because they used to be made out of rubber. That same distinction works in Spanish. Some of them call them I can't remember the word for eraser. I can't remember the word for an eraser. I was really hoping my brain would fill in the space before I got there. A goma, yeah, a goma, a borrador. That there we go. We say borrador. Some people say goma. Um, but in the same way that you call something a rubber in how when you say rubber, that's also slang for a condom. That kind of same thing kind of works in Spanish where you call something a rubber, they might think you're talking about a condom, depending on where you are. So like most Puerto Rican kids and no small amount of adults are also amused by the fact that most Latin America calls bugs bichos. Well, VR, that's slang for wang. Exactly. We just call them insectos. I've never heard them call a bicho, but I definitely can understand that one. But like even more innocent things, you also have to be careful for some food items, because some of them are a little bit dirty. In certain places, they're also like slang. But like a tortilla, I remember talking to my friend from Cuba when I was in college, and we were talking. I was talking about like how I miss like real tortillas or something like that. And she asked me to clarify which tortilla I meant. And I was like, what do you mean? What tortilla do I mean? And she's like, well, do you mean an omelet or do you mean like the wrap thing? And I was like, what the fuck do you mean an omelet? Why in the world would I ever mean an omelet in this situation? Turns out that they call omelets tortillas. The more you know. So that's just something that happens all the time. There's also 1,000,005 people who will go to Mexico or go to Spain and say that they're real hot. You know, it's so hot in Spain. Oh man, it's so hot there. Estoy bien caliente is what they will say. Instead of saying they have calor, which is the correct way to say it. But they will say caliente, caliente. That means horny over there. So they will get the tourists to they'll always ask the tourists like, oh, is it hot here? Like, they'll see it's like, oh, calor. And they'll be like, yeah, caliente, caliente. And they'll laugh at them. You remember that one? Yeah. It's a very popular one. A lot of people will just simply say it that way. I mean, and it makes sense because it doesn't mean that really anywhere else. But the Spanish are so fucking pretentious with their Spanish when you can only half understand what they're saying at any given time. Also, when it comes to Mexico, even in Mexico, there's different ways to say things. Another popular one I'll leave you guys with, depending on what Latin American country you're in, you're going to say this next word differently. But a straw and popcorn are two words that are a lot. I've been told ustedes isn't a thing in a lot of places. Ustedes is the proper way to say something, like the way you'd like say something very properly. Tu, tu is usually what people say. ustedes. Um, what's a good example? What's a good sentence? I'll think of a good sentence as this ad break goes. I ustedes comes off as super formal to me. Yeah, I have. When I was learning Spanish and I started saying ustedes a lot, I had an aunt get mad at me and she thought I was being disrespectful. I was being like I was mad at her because I was being super proper. You know how when some people get mad, they'll just be like real proper. She thought I was doing that to her. And so I had to start not speaking like that again. So because I only speak to my family in Spanish for the most part, so had to make sure they knew I wasn't mad at them. But yeah, ustedes is mad proper. What's a good sentence with ustedes? Ustedes dónde van? Oiga, ¿dónde van? ¿Y cómo están ustedes? ¿Cómo están? ¿Ustedes cómo están? ¿Cómo están? Trying to think of a good way to use ustedes in a sentence where I simply wouldn't say ustedes, I think. ¿Y cómo les va? Hola, ¿cómo están? ¿Cómo están? Bien, bien, bien. ¿Cómo va todos con ustedes? ¿Cómo va con la familia? ¿Y tú qué? Yeah, if I ask a friend, ¿cómo estás tú? It's fine. If a bit awkwardly phrased, but if I ask, ¿cómo está usted? Then it's more formal. Yeah. It's, it's ads. ¿Ustedes cómo están? ¿Qué tal? Oiga, ¿cómo les va? ¿Ustedes? Yeah, I wouldn't say ustedes. It would be like in English, I guess, if you would say. What's a good word for that in English? How are you? How are you all? How do you find yourselves? How goes it? I don't know. I don't know what the equivalent would be, but it doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound good. I'm not a fan of it. Ustedes reads almost disrespectful with how formal it is. It's big like, what are you, the cops kind of energy? Oh, I've gone off of my shovel picture. Oh, this goes pretty far, huh? Oh. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to make this smaller. Yeah, Ustedes reads mad formal. I can't think of any sentence at present that would be an equivalent to it in English. But I would just never say it. It's just like no one uses Spanish's stupid I say is. Ustedes, ¿cómo estáis? ¿Cómo estáis? I don't even know how to use it correctly. I say is it. I don't even know how to use it. Welcome back. It's just so dumb. I have zero. I had to learn it in Spanish class, but I just never, at any point, did I ever have any desire to continue that in my everyday. Yeah, it's not quite as a wild difference as going full thee and thou in English, but it feels close, yeah. Like it's not as dramatic. Like it's how I would speak to like someone I didn't know, right? Or someone above me in the food chain at like work or something. It's wild. I definitely like, excuse me, Your Honor. Thou do me the honor of. It's so stupid. Yeah, like I call a straw a popote. That's what it is to us. A straw is popote. And a pen is a pluma. Or at least to me, it's a pluma. Yeah, to use a sorbeto, I've heard titos. There's another one that's like a popeta or something like that. It's wild, some of the words that are. Plain as pluma too. And when I was in Spanish class, I learned pen as bolígrafo. And I'm just like, I could tell you what you can do with that bolígrafo and where you could fucking stick it. I will absolutely not be calling it that ever in my entire life. Thank you so much for asking. Pluma also means feather, yeah. That's the other thing, which is why some places are just like, why would you call it that? Why are you calling it a feather? And it's like a pencil is a lapis. Why do I have black lines over here? Hello? Bolígrafo is specifically for ballpoint pens. Oh, it's like all bolígrafos are plumas, but not all plumas are bolígrafos. I remember that. Oh yeah, that embarazar is yeah embarazar. Yeah, it's not to embarrass. Let me tell you, a lot of the as I don't like saying the term no sabo because I think there's a lot of weight behind those words. But a lot of people who would be classified as a no sabo say that a lot. Estoy bien embarazada for I'm very embarrassed instead of avergonzado because that's just less that's a lot less common to hear. It also has the fabled G in Spanish. Crocs also have a lot of them. Yeah, they read to me as I'm very impregnated, which it is. There is no place where where avergonzada is not embarrassed. But because when you're doing Spanglish, embarrassed, estoy bien embarazado, right, embarazado. I learned from a story of a botched ad campaign for a pen that won't leak. Embarrass you. It's just like a lot of people who don't put the tilde on top of the N in año. So there's a lot of happy culos to you essentially out there. Because they are simply talking about your ano. because they disrespect the power of the accent. That's definitely not centered, huh? That's a crooked line. That feels better. Oh, the automatic catch. Happy anus. Oh, so dirty. It's okay. I've now permitted the term anus. Don't worry. The anus is available to all of us now to say. Um, yeah, it's very funny. It's a very happy new anno to you too. Like, it's just very funny. Some of the mistakes some people make. Because, like, while English or Spanish is a very easy language to learn, because a lot of it is the same way you say it, the same way it's spelled. But let me tell you, really catches you the people who coast on the just add an er to the end of any word in English and you're halfway there. Won't always work for you there, bud. My favorite thing in Mexico in particular is that my entire time growing up, there was no official. I grew up here completely in the United States. Um, but my mom tried to teach me the Spanish or the Mexican alphabet. Um, in Mexico from Mexico that she learned. And I learned that it was ever changing, the alphabet in Mexico, because there's a lot of letters that exist. Like they're all the same letters, but some letters when you put them together always sound one way. Like our double L, like the double L in llama, that double L is a y sound. So yama is how you would say it, and it's always the y sound. It's called an a. The double L is called a, and yeah, r, the double R. There's always also the double, or there's also the C and the H, the che, technically. And the enye, the N with a tilde on top of it. So the alphabet was A, B, C, Ch, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, N, O, P, Q, R, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, y, Z. I learned W. Some people call it W. I believe it's officially double E. I learned W. It's like the difference of saying W and double V. I think they talk about the che, but didn't include it. We got the rest though. Yeah, I'm fond of the Enya because one of my last names has one, so I have an excuse to occasionally spring it on folks. I love Enya. Enya. First of all, Enya. What a superior sound. Enya is just fun to say. And then like I love Enya. I love Y. Y is one of my faves also. H, I like saying H also. Just like in English, I like saying LMNOP. Yeah, other languages wish they could reach the level of Enye. I love saying LEMNNOP. Like that's just a superior roster of letters to say in a row. But I do really like Y. Y is just fun to say. I was very annoyed having to learn it because it's so foreign, but I like it. Some people will put other things in there though. I've definitely seen the ooh, oh, I forget what it's called. The ooh with the 2 dots on top of it. My God, what is it fucking called? It's like on the tip of my fucking tongue and it's driving me insane. Best we got was that and used to be a letter. Oh, and that and used to be a letter. I do love the way we call the Y literally the Greek I. Umlaut. All I've got is umlaut. Yeah, the umlaut with the 2 things up there. I just don't know what they used to put it on there. What do you call the U with an umlaut in Mexico? Alphabet. According to tandem.net/blog/Spanish accents, apparently it's called a diaresis. I can't tell if that word's in English or Spanish. And is distinct to the umlaut. Let's continue doing research. And was just called and was there at the end of the song to not say and was and per se and the ampersand. I love that. In Spanish, the diéresis mark, the 2 dots, is used to separate 2 vowels that would normally combine. So you see it in things like gue, for example, to show that it is pronounced gue and not ge, hard G, no U sound. We use it the same way English in poetry sometimes, but not super frequent though. Thank you, Miss Peel, with a PhD in Spanish and a Spanish teacher, however non-native. I guess like a diéresis. I guess I've quite literally never heard that word in my entire life before. Diéresis, yes, the correct term. I remember my Spanish teacher trying to get me to learn it. Also, probably yelling at me about forgetting to add my accent. Dude, I wish I have no formal education in Spanish, so to me, accents are so perplexing. It's the number one reason I use whenever I'm writing a card or something, I'll write it down on a scratch piece of paper, and then I'll throw it on to Google Translate, and just to see where all my accents are supposed to go, because I straight up don't know. Aside from like things like or gue or gui, I have no idea. I don't even know if that would have an accent there. But I'm the worst with accents. I know it's like, well, just see how you say the word and see where you put the emphasis on it. I don't fucking know. I don't have a sophisticated enough ear to recognize when I'm using an accent. Are you kidding me? Spanish may be my first language, but it's definitely not my most practiced language. I can tell you that right now. Diéresis. That's wild. Maybe I have heard the word before and I just don't remember it. Um, but I also like diéresis. I am a good fan of a good we sound or gue. Like my favorite mate is from the brand Taragui. So, but also I am a very big fan of Nahuatl and a lot of the indigenous languages here in Mexica in Mexico. The Mexica languages because they are all different. They're all distinct in their own ways, but they all have a same general vibe to them. But there are hundreds of native languages indigenous languages in in and around Mexico. So, but I am a big fan of Nahuatl words. They're kind of all over the place. One of my favorite restaurants growing up was Tepatitlan, and that is decidedly not a Spanish word. Honestly, English needs stressed accents as the meaning changes wildly with the stress in four languages in French throw folks a bone. Honestly, I agree wholeheartedly. I really should have been better about accents considering that my main last name is Rodriguez has one. But most folks write it out without the accent these days anyways, yeah. A lot of them. I knew a Peña. I knew a lot of Peñas growing up. Always Pena. Every single time. P-E-N-A, no Ñ. A ton of Rodriguez's, a lot of Martinez's. Never once have I ever seen a singular accent. And I suspect it's because there's no accents on our keyboards. I feel like if accents were easily available on keyboards, they'd be much easier to type things out. Grin if you ask me. English is more like 12 languages in the trench coat. I'm a Peña too, lol. Literally both your last name, Pat's last name. See, there you go. That's where you get the Peñas going. There's a lot of Enyas that don't get recognized. A lot of Penas. I'm trying to think of some other. There's another one. I don't remember what the last name was, but yeah, it's just a lot of just bastardizing the names because there's no accents here in the US. But I wholeheartedly agree. I do believe there should be some accents because that shit is not something that is easily pick upable. In the way that Spanish is an easier language to learn because everything is kind of just the way you say it is the way it's spelled for the most part, with exceptions, but for the most part it's like that. English is not. My God, the way that I am still pissed in first grade. So pre-K and kindergarten here in the United States, I was in essentially the ESL class. But I progressed very quickly. I'm a very fast learner. And so I was my very amazing pre-K and kinder teacher, Miss Leal, she RIP, she advocated a lot for me to get into not only just an English, because they didn't have any. There was like kind of an ESL class in elementary school, but like not really. The ESL class was the class also with people with special needs, and like that's not really the vibe. Let's see. Nah, man. Call me a pena and those fighting words, man. Damn. I've given up the fight on getting people to pronounce Daniel in Spanish, but God damn it, let me kick my peña. Also, man, they also bastardized Rodriguez also. Rodriguez, I love Rodriguez. Rodriguez is a very nice name. One of my extended family members' last name is now Rodriguez, and Rodriguez, it just doesn't hit the same. Rodriguez is kind of about is a is another real kick in the gut. Like Martinez also doesn't hit the same, but like it's a little closer to Martinez, right? It's just like my family likes to say it's like you say Martinez con crema, right? Like Martinez. But Rodriguez into Rodriguez is criminal. I had to go look up if Paul Peña, a blues musician, was Latina. Man, we're hitting them all today. Let's go. Held a message for reason, race, ethnicity, or religion. Because you said gringo. Let the people say gringo. God damn it. I've now allowed the term gringo. Every time I'm forced to pronounce Rodriguez in gringo so someone writes it out properly, I die a little more. Abso-fucking-lutely, man. Paul Pena. There's a lot of them. It's just sucks. Like Rodriguez always is gonna have an accent. Martinez is always gonna have an accent. The sad thing is that some people just don't, as American born people that are Hispanic with those last names are just never gonna know. Like Jesus, I believe also might have an accent. I immediately started saying it, but I already said Jesus. Yeah, Jesus has an accent in it on the ooh at the end. Jesus has an accent. Also we call it Jesus. It's also a name. So going from Jesus to Jesus is a little drastic. Because we don't have a j sound in Spanish. We have a h sound. There's a lot of fucking names with accents, man, and it's just so annoying. Maria, I think, is also another one that might have an accent to it. Maybe not Maria. Maria. No, I think it just has a natural. And so then you go Jesus. Yeah, Jesus. A lot of Jesuses out there. And I'm like, their name is literally just Jesus. But I appreciate you just trying. In Australia, we have a relatively smaller Latina community, so all of this is a learning experience for you. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of them. Although the name thing is Hispanic, that is any Spanish-speaking country, which just expand past, unfortunately, past Latin America. But yeah, so. I am, like I said, I'm a fan of, I like Spanish. Spanish is fun because you have, it's just a large community. But I do prefer the indigenous languages here in Mexico. Again, Mexca. But it's just hard because the Catholicism hits a little hard in our communities. And so a lot of that has been lost, and we are now reclaiming it. It's actually really cool. Because in Mexico, we have this thing called, oh man, hold on, let me pull this up over here. Before I get into it, I'll read these things before they get out of my screen. My Spanish pronunciation used to be pretty good, but I'd entertain my Latina coworkers by speaking bad Spanish with an aggressive Eurasian accent to the point of self-parody. But I've seen some odd things in my time around the traps, like Rodriguez, actually spelled that way. Pronounced Rodriguez. Is that Portuguese? It might be. Aguirre. Aguirre. Oh, Aguirre is another good one. Aguirre. Aguirre. That's another last name I really like. Bastardized as Aguirre. 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 I'm fortunate that we have an ad in about 15 seconds, so I'll say this fast. If you're ever curious if the Latina you're dealing with is Puerto Rican, the easiest way to identify us is that our Spanish is spoken with an absolute breakneck pace. Also, it's at least 50% cursing volume. Also, if you understand Spanish, you're not going to understand them. Puerto Riqueño is up there with Chilean Spanish to me. Sometimes it is really hard to understand what you guys are saying. It, again, not helped by how quickly you guys speak. That's not to say that people in Mexico don't also speak quickly. It's our own weird patois. It's a little fucky, but like, bless y'all. You guys just like, what did I tell my mom when I was speaking about it? Because I needed to understand Puerto Riqueño when listening to Bad Bunny. You guys just don't close your mouths, I think is what it is when you speak. Yeah, you're like, yeah, you guys don't close your mouths. You can't hear me say this because you're often in ad land. But Puerto Ricanos don't, they just kind of like, it feels like they don't close their mouths very often when they speak. So any word like speak that requires you to put that. And buenas noches. Que bien, Bude. Have a good one. Thanks so much for stopping by hanging out. It's been good. It was good to see you again, Bude. I hope you're doing well and continue to do well. Ooh, I did this on the, maybe I didn't do this on the wrong side. We could rectify this. In so in Mexico, there's been a heavy bias against indigenous groups, as I feel like a lot of places have had that happen, especially with things such as with colonialism, colonization, I should say, happening. And Catholicism hit pretty hard, and that's what really supported colonialism well after the Spanish were run out in Mexico. But during our welcome back, one of our traditions in Mexico is on Independence Day. Hold on, I'd rather read the whole thing.
I'll admit, I didn't expect this.
Oh my god, thank you so much, Bude, for gifting Dan that sub. Thank you so much. What's that? Oh, that's me. Like, what's that number next to that? I didn't know I had a sub point goal. Thank you so much for gifting Dan that. On your way out, Bude. Hope to see you again soon. It's been a while. Have a good night. Stay warm. But we have so Mexico's Independence Day is September 16th. But the night before, September 15th, leading into the 16th, we have a thing called the Grito de Independencia because I believe it's at the Battle of Dolores. I believe that's where, I don't think that's where we won. That's not where we won, but that's a battle cry that was heard in small little, I think it was Hidalgo. that really rallied the troops and really transcended that battle that we lost and carried through as the battle cry for the rest of the battle for independence. And I believe we won shortly thereafter. And it is tradition now that our president will come out of the consulado and he'll walk out on the balcony with his guards out there who walk out with the flag. And they will have, I shouldn't say he, we have a female president now. They will take down the maybe it was the grito that started the war. I don't remember. Don't quote me on the history of the grito. I didn't learn it. I didn't learn it in school. And what the president does is he stands out on the balcony holding the Mexican flag in one hand, and the other one he has the string for the bell up top. And so when he rings the bell, that's basically the like, we did it. But what it is this like beautiful thing, and basically there's like a set speech the president does, but there's also they can freestyle a little bit, because basically it's just a description of what the values of Mexico are. So I'm trying to find like if there's like a transcript for the 2024 speech, because it was a really good one. It was a very good speech. Okay, why would you do that to me? I was very, very... Okay, hold on. Transcripción, sorry. Transcripción. Sorry, I forget that if I have to write something, look for something about Mexico, I have to look at it in Spanish. Otherwise, I'm never gonna fucking find it. It's a huge deal. Like, the entire area gets filled up. It's like a huge festivity. I'm gonna lose my mind. No one is showing me this. We're just gonna have to listen to it? Yes, I know that that's what we usually do. Thank you so much. So the speech is built upon basically Mexicanos, Mexicans, citizens of Mexico. Vivan los héroes que nos dieron patria. Viva Hidalgo, viva Morelos. Viva, and then it just like repeats all the people who fought to give us independence. Viva la independencia nacional. Viva Mexico, viva Mexico, viva Mexico. So if you've ever heard Viva Mexico, it comes from this speech. It's a very big deal. And in between each one, the crowd, Mexicans, will respond with viva. So, Mexicanos, vivan los héroes que nos dieron patria. And then you respond, viva. Then viva Hidalgo, viva, viva Morelos, viva. But like I said, you can kind of like remix a little bit as you're going. And this year, our president acknowledged the indigenous peoples of Mexico, which was kind of a big deal, kind of huge, kind of a big deal. Here, I'll show you. They live stream it also, so Mexicans everywhere can watch it, because in Mexico we recognize that Not every Mexican is in the country. Let me make this smaller and put it on the screen. How about that? So you can hear them going Viva. This is all the regular stuff. That's everybody outside the Capitol. That's a new one. That was so all the rest of them were all names. That last one was what did it say exactly? Hold on. Vicente Guerrero, yeah. No offense, Vicente. That one is Viva means live. Live on the heroes and heroines, anonymous heroes and heroines. Mexico has gone through a lot of earthquakes recently, especially there in the capital. So that one's a little bit charged, emotionally charged. Live on liberty. Live on equality. Big one. Live on justice. Live on the democracy. Live on our sovereignty. Live on fraternidad. How would I like universal fraternity, friendship, universal brotherhood. That's a good one. There you go. Thank you so much, Dan. Universal brotherhood. There's a lot of corruption in Mexico also. So Mexicans, female, women and men of Mexico, may corruption die. I have no idea what he just said. What did it say? Varicia? I don't know what that is, my guys. Cannot tell you what that. Greed. Oh, greed. May greed die. I now hear it. Thank you so. Avaricia. There you go. Avaricia. I got you. Thank you. This is a nice thing about having an actual native speaker and not me who was a native speaker years ago. May racism die. May discrimination die. May love live on. May the workers live on, who are the hardest working people in the world. May our brothers, our migrant brothers live on. Shout out to this woman who's fucking popping off with these vivas. But that one's may our villages, indigenous villages live on, which is the first time. May the grandiose culture of Mexico live on. May all the Mexicans live on. May the fourth transformation live on. Live on Mexico. And there's the gong 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 of the bell. You can actually see it moving up there. He's actually ringing the bell, not just like kind of doing so. This is also his last year of hey, Mia's not here. I'm just here for like 10 minutes. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I was just what a tangent journey we've been on. But I was talking about just right now I was speaking about the indigenous peoples in Mexico and how this year we our president or the president in Mexico who just we had our elections and he's no longer our president, but the president. But we were talking about I was talking about how he included indigenous peoples for the first time in the speech, which was huge actually. Because no one had done that before, so welcome in. I hope you're doing well. And no worries, I get it. It's late or early or whatever you may have going on. I understand different schedules be scheduling in different ways. I don't want to do this to the side. I wanted to do this. No, I did want to do this on this side. Okay, if we're doing this, it's coming from this way. This is gonna be the dark side. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, Mia. Oh, I turned off the music. I'm like, it's so quiet. You're good, good. I'm happy to hear that. Happy to hear that. We do have a new president, though. He's no longer ours. He served us 2 terms. And now we have. Oh, I always forget her name. I love her though. She's great. He recently straight up bodied some of the racist Canadian politicians here recently. He's also not been very kind. Yeah, I've heard lots of good things about the new president. She seems dope. Type on your tablet. Yeah, Wiccan for Eras tour. Yeah, it is the last weekend for the Eras tour, which reminds me. Let me just go ahead and. Oh, you're fucking lying. You did not do this to Full Cleric on the last. You didn't. No, this is still going, right? It is still going. I was about to lose my mind. I am very sad that it is the end. I do have this. I had it on the other screen, but I paused it for so we could watch that other thing. The other thing, El Grito. That's so disrespectful of me. I'm so sorry. I am so sad. It's almost over, man. But like, I'm happy that Taylor is finally gonna get some rest. She fucking deserves it. If we hear nothing from her, except maybe a re-record. I'm not gonna be mad if a re-record comes out in this next year. You know what? Wouldn't be mad if both of them came out and then she could really rest. Look, that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is like if you really want best, hey, maybe like a re-record, just like maybe just as a treat for us. Smile. Also, it would be nice to just hold us over with something, as if she didn't just give us a 31 track album. I'm gonna go ahead and change this to a different gray. Needs to like a little bit of a darker gray than that. Yeah, that's distinct enough. I 1000% agree. I have it in the background. I know, right? Yeah, TTV is probably your fave right now. I 1000% feel that. Taylor Swift is so funny because she has so many albums out that quite genuinely any can just be like I've been having a Midnight's moment recently. I love Midnight's moment. It's a very good album. And but like TTV is always just gonna be there for me. Because I love so many songs of it's just such a big album. There's so many songs. It comes in waves. But I will always hold space for I'll always hold space for like Guilty as Sin. Guilty as Sin. I feel like Guilty as Sin is my but Daddy I Love Him for a lot of people. Is that what the name is that was the title of it was? I love just not remembering the names of anything ever. I wish my brain weren't made of fucking goo sometimes. Yeah, but Daddy I Love Him. Also fresh out of the summer. I had a folklore month last month. Like it comes and goes, you know? I had a red moment a couple of months ago. Look, but like I was having my red moment when Taylor was having her red moment. So I feel like that's she was the cause of that. I wasn't the one playing a red song almost every surprise song set. Look, you know? Also not my fault that that Red is such a good album. I'm saving I'm saving my folklore evermore energy for once the tour is over. I'm trying not to think about it too much. Especially as the cold finally starts hitting us. I do have to TBH Red is so good, so having red moments are the best. You're absolutely right, and you should say it. Like this summer, oh, I will say this summer I did have a big 1989 time. I did have big 1989 energy this summer. One album I will say I haven't had a lot of space for is Lover. I feel like I'm gonna need a little bit of time before Lover and I can reconvene. Or Taylor can just give me Lover 2.0, and I'd be happy with that also. I'm spending way too much time on this stupid shovel, but like But like, it's where we are now. I'm gonna make this bigger. It's been decided. I'm making it bigger. You know, we can come back to it. If I really feel like having it, I will come back to it. This is I'm making cards for it's called a shovel. I'm making cards. Oh, I don't want to call this a shovel. What number are you? Are you 1? Are you A, I mean? Yeah, you are A. For my game, I'm writing a game. Technically, they're for stream. I'm not making them for the game. I'm making them to play the game on my stream in the same way that I've made cards for other games to play on stream before. But this is for a game I'm currently in the process of cementing the rules for called Gremlin Gifts, a game in which you play a little gremlin or a little group of gremlins who are setting up this elaborate gift, aka some kind of Rube Goldberg machine, in order to gift it to this villager in their own home. And you're spending the whole night making it and creating it. It's basically a Rube Goldberg machine of chaos, essentially, because something that a gremlin would consider a gift is also what a villager would see as a trap. They are in quote danger. Although this is all with cartoon rules, so no one like gets actually hurt or maimed. They just get cartoon hurt. In which like there's some bandages put on them and like maybe they get a little scuffed up, but they'll be okay. They'll live. And yeah, and so it is gremlins are an absolute nuisance. But little do they villagers know that they're speaking the gremlins' love language. You know, gremlins, they love to prank each other. They love to set up traps for each other. That's just like enrichment. You know, they do that for funsies. In fact, like that's like what a proposal would look like in gremlin society. It's just setting up like a really good trap. And like it's a trap prank essentially. And so the villagers have been like continuously setting up more and more elaborate traps, aka or gifts, aka traps, to stop the gremlins from doing things such as stealing their things, breaking their things, dirtying up their things, breaking their things, and generally just causing mayhem in the night. It sounds like having siblings. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. And so with all those, you know, all the things that one would do to like keep out a pest, that's what the villagers have been doing. Like think about just having like a mouse that's in your pantry and really like you want to humanely get them out, and it just becomes an increasingly more and more elaborate scheme to try and trap them while they just keep evading everything. That's kind of like what the gremlins have been doing. Or like you said, just having siblings. And so that is what the game is about. It is you are in the home of this villager and you've chosen the longest night of the month. So you have the most amount of time to work on this beautiful, elaborate, ultimate gift because you want to really thank the villagers for really embracing you and your community into this village and really embracing your culture. And so you want to provide that to them also. So that's what the game is. It's just you creating a Rube Goldberg machine based off of these items that I'm drawing on these cards. So far we have like nothing. So we have this bucket that they stole. I mean, grab. We have Jax, if you guys are familiar with that game. And we also have marbles, if you guys are familiar with that game. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull these cards. You're gonna pull 5 of these cards, and in each of these, and you're gonna have to come up for a way that's to put them together. Essentially, what this is the solo game is gonna be. It's just you pulling this random item and figuring out how you're gonna throw it in a Rube Goldberg machine. I think it's fun. I think it's going to be a fun idea. It's based off of an adventure I was going to write for D&D years ago at this point. But I have let's do pots and pans. But it didn't suit what I wanted it to be, so I shelved it until to this now. I've been talking about it for years about doing it, and I'm trying to practice doing not just saying. That's like a new development I've been trying to make for myself. So we have an ad playing soon, so just be aware. And it's 1.5 minutes, so I will see you guys in about 1.5 minutes. But yeah, it's just me trying to practice. Hey, that sound like you keep talking about shit, but you're not saying shit. You're not actually doing it. Nothing ever comes of it. And you know what? You're right. I don't ever do anything. I talk a lot of smack, but I never do anything with it. So this is me holding myself accountable and doing things. Because I always hype up my friends. I'm always like, oh, yeah, you should do this thing. You should do it. You should do it. You should stop putting it off and you should do it. And it comes off very hypocritical. I am what one would call a hypocrite. Guys, I will say, I'm trying really hard because I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think she's going to do it. I don't think she's going to announce anything at the end of the Eras. Well, she's going to announce something at the end of the Eras tour, but I think it's going to just be the documentary. I think she's just going to talk about the documentary. So I'm trying not to, which is exciting in and of itself because I love seeing all the background stuff for the Eras tour. But there was a little voice in the back of my head that just keeps saying, what if it's Reputation? And I need to just be like, and I just want to be like, shut up, little thing in the brain. Like, Taylor keeps doing things that make me think like it could happen. But then she does things that are also like, it's not going to happen. But also, I can't imagine her not hearing everyone's reaction to Reputation. And I feel like Taylor really lives for the reactions of the crowd. And it would feel like such a missed opportunity to not have that moment, you know? But also, I totally understand that I'm not expecting it, and she can do whatever she wants whenever she wants to. But I am saying that it would be really cool if she announced it at the last show. So I'm doing Pots and Pans. Pots and Pans is the one we're on right now. And I'm trying to do cabinets up here. Because I think I just want them to hang off of up here. You do this. You just have them facing opposite ways. Is that what you do with cabinets? Suddenly, I've never seen a singular cabinet in my entire life. And I'm trying to say is I'm trying not to clown, but it's becoming increasingly more difficult not to clown. I have to make these like out of like a coppery color. Kind of fit this kind of drab color scheme a little bit more. Guys, this is the last weekend, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with my free time. I guess like be productive, I guess. It's just like a nice thing to have during the weekends. Like a nice little pick me up during the weekend. Something to look forward to. That just froze, so let me just make sure I save here. That was terrifying. I was like, this is it. I haven't saved a singular time. It would have saved me. I finally something interesting to do with my time. I've been pinged to do some composing for a horror film. Yo, let's go, story girl. Let's go. Time to pull out those strings and get them to turn around those bows. No, but that's so cool. I'm so happy for you. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna create like some sort of basket thing here. I should probably make this a little bit taller. Let me just yoink this up. Oh, there we go. That's really exciting. I'm very happy. It's just a tryout at this time, but still, I mean, that's still something. I feel like sometimes the hardest thing is just like getting something to do. Like having some form of inspiration to work off of to make something. Direction, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Oh, I was thinking about it because I was trying to consider what I was going to do for. I was considering what I was going to do for a future thing and possible collaborations, what they can entail for fun things for this, for game night. Um, and I was like, I wonder what we could do for like a musical aspect of it because somebody I've already pre-invited for game night is also musical. So I was just like, oh, I wonder if we could do something interesting with our audio or the audioscape during the game. And if that's something we can incorporate, or if something we want to incorporate. And I was thinking, like, what would I contribute to this? Because I haven't tried to write music, God, in years. I haven't tried to do anything like that. Dan, are you still here? I'm gonna do one of these sideways so we can see that it's a pan or plot. Not just pin under. Understandable. What was the game that you suggested? Is a game that you uh were considering playing? If you remember. Obviously, you're not beholden to that game. I can't. I was gonna go back in the VOD and look for it, but while you're here, as a solo merger. As a solo, for as a duo game. I can't believe I forgot what a pot looks like. I guess we could do one with like the things off the side like that. Yeah. Oh, gross. No, don't put that as my. I wrote in pot. Gross. I had Pottermore immediately pop up. I think it was I have the high ground. That's right. Where do you come up from? You come up from like right under the lip, I see. Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna look back in the VOD. I still need to send you the thing. It's just me. I'm just being lazy. I just need to do the primer and also come up with a date range for you to give you. That's really the only thing that I'm waiting for. Technically, if I want to take myself out of the blame, I could say that I'm also waiting on someone to give me their date range. But no, I'll take responsibility. I just need to take the primer and come up with days. I need to look at my calendar. Because I would like a little bit of a break in between the games. Hold on, I might have the date range. Zero rush. Basically, anytime after next week, my availability is wide open for the foreseeable future. I got you. What is my thing? I just don't want to be like, well, between the dates of January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2025, when are you available? Like, I just don't want to do that to you. I'd rather just give you a date range. I try to do my game nights at the end of the month. Okay. Whose game night is this? Oh. Ooh, I need to contact somebody about that. Okay, yeah, for sure. No doubt. We need to get that started if we're doing that in February. Oof. All right. And then the next one is maybe in April. I don't know. I told somebody I would like to do art thing on my birthday weekend or birthday week. There's just not enough time in the world, I think. I'll appreciate it, yeah. I think, I'm trying to decide how much time I would like to give myself in between doing things. Because right now I have something tentatively in the middle of February and something tentatively in the middle of April. So I'm like, I can do January off, then February or January solo, February with a duo, March solo, April with a duo. But I could also just do it every month and I could play with more of my friends. You know, like this is where things get a little like what do I do? You know? It's less let me tell you, it's less me not having time to play the games. Playing the games and getting together with my friends and playing, that part's easy. The hard part is finding the time to do all of this bullshit that I do. Where I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be fun to make the deck all custom and let it fit the game and customize it fully for the game so I don't have to worry about so it looks prettier for stream. Or like, wouldn't it be cool to learn a whole new program so I can learn how to do some cool stuff so I can play the entire game on OBS instead of having to use Roll20? Like, that's the shit that takes time. It's me. It's my bullshit that takes the time. But it's also like half the fun for me, you know? Oh, actually, no, you're gonna go over this so I can see the hook. Hmm. What is it? I have the high ground. Hold on. I will say you're the only one that has a game in mind. Although, again, you're not beholden to that game. So funny. Oh, this is so funny in context of what we were talking about the other day. the game mechanics. I have the high ground. It's a GM-less, mechanically light game meant for one-shot play with just 24 pages of rules text. It's just 24 pages of rules. Oh no, I'm down. I've had it for a while, but I haven't had a chance to play it. It's a great way to zoom in on intense, blah, blah. When it's just, with an easy down payment of 24 pages of rules. This is a D6 system, it looks like. Oh, never mind. Never mind. There's a community copy. I just hadn't gone down far enough to see if they had any. I have seen this on Itch. This has been in the back of my mind. This is why I never get anything done. I need to spend this weekend just doing this. Making these cards so I don't get distracted. And it's me, it's not you, it's me. I'm the one that distracts myself. Because it's just kind of like head empty, no thoughts sometimes, making these cards. It's like coloring sometimes. And unfortunately that just leaves my brain to really think. And that's a dangerous thing, having me think. I was really hoping you were going to show me it's like probably just like a Rochambeau, right? You say, I faint, and then the other person, or at the same time, you say, faint, thrust. Okay, I understand. I understand the system more or less. I'm 99% certain they played it on the Party of One podcast. Worth a listen to get a feel for it. Absolutely. I'm more thinking of it and as in what could prep look like for this game? So we're relatively new friends, Dan. So I don't know how much of my bullshit you're familiar with when it comes to game night, but I just do a bunch of bullshit. Only a mild amount of it. So my idea of for game night is I like to take the time when I do game night to not only play and learn new things. Like it's made half for playing through all the systems of games I own, / some I don't own, but also it's kind of like an outlet for creativity for me, right? So it's an outlet in the way that I need to It's an outlet in the way that I wouldn't do this outside of this. You know, I have no reason to ever just like for funsies make a deck of cards, right? Or learn the dimensions of a card and get them as accurate as I can so I can make cards. I don't really ever have a reason to learn how to use any of the tools in Clip Studio Paint aside from like the basic things I know. I don't really have a reason to learn how to code or how to make certain things happen based off of a button press on a Stream Deck or something, right? Aside from like silly little small things I can do for stream that have no real urgency, I choose to do so with these games. Partially to learn like really the extent of how, like, I approach them by having an idea and then seeing if I could do it, essentially is what it is. Like with like this month, it's can I write this game that has been percolating in my mind? Like challenge myself to finally do it, and also like making the deck of cards is like completely secondary. Because I've already done this, so I already know like the amount of work it is, and I've already done the legwork. The real thing about this one is, can I do it? And challenging myself to do it. Like there is no can, there's only will, and am doing it. And so I want to continue to challenge myself in that way, and I would like to, for game night with people, I want to continue that energy with those games in which this will be in your primer. There's no one, you're not beholden to any of to like enter in my bullshit. Also you are free to be as involved or not involved with the bullshit. But I do encourage you to at least have ideas of some bullshit ideas we can do. To enhance the viewing experience, because everything it also is kind of just, how do I make this interesting for chat? Like making the cards with all this information on it is for the viewers. You know, I have the PDF. I can just flip through the PDF and look through all the things and roll everything on my side and just say it aloud for chat. Or have, you know, like a grainy, have like a real like fucky setup with a PDF on one side, like half cut on the screen, and then like a webcam, a small little webcam in the corner so you could see my rolls, and like I can interconnect a bunch of windows together to achieve what I want. So, you know, the audience can see what I'm doing as I do it. But to me, I think it's more visually interesting to have everything ready to go on in the card, right? Like I pull this card, you see, boom, what is it? I change Wasteland Wonders to like pots and pans probably. And then down here, you see like the good option and the bad option. And then boom, there we go. So that's honestly the main goal of like these creativity. It's like, I would like to do this thing. How can I make that interesting for chat, for myself? And is that actually feasible to do? Those are like the order of operations. Heck yeah, I'll spend a bit of time going over and see what ideas come up. I have a deluxe version, which comes with some wooden tokens and stuff. Some of that maybe we can bring in digitally. Yeah. It's like with our last game we did was Void 1680, which is still not available anywhere. I found out that the first little bit doesn't have any audio and like no music audio. So I have to go and record those songs and then put them in the thing. And I just don't want to. I'm gonna, but like, I'm not looking forward to the process. I'm mostly not looking forward to the render, to be honest with you. But like I did I didn't make the tarot cards. I really wanted to, but there's just feasibly not enough time for me to make the tarot cards the way I wanted them. And then also learn how to play a game purely through OBS. Because none of that game was played outside of OBS. I didn't use that PDF at all, I don't think. No, I did pull up I did pull it up because I fucked up with one of the settings on OBS. But if I hadn't fucked that setting up, then I would have played the entire game through OBS, and my Stream Deck and StreamerBot. All the information chat was seeing, I was also seeing at the same time. Then what else? For Wretched Wastelands, I did this. Everything was also on screen. I had all the counters. That game involved Jenga, so I had a webcam for Jenga because I couldn't figure out how to do Jenga digitally. And I still don't know how I would feasibly do Jenga digitally, because I still think that Jenga is probably played best in person. So I bought a Jenga tower specifically for that and a second webcam specifically for that game. But I did come up with like a cool thing on screen that when I press a button, the Jenga, like you could always see the Jenga tower in the corner of the screen. But when it was time for me to pull from the Jenga tower, I switched the screen so it popped out in the middle of the screen. And I had a GIF of a bunch of like lights that were flashing going around in a circle. So it looked like Hollywood. It's like, look at me. So I did that. Oh, and I made the cards. The cards was the hardest part. The other stuff wasn't difficult. But like the tokens and stuff, I moved myself on the screen. On OBS. What else did we do? Case closed was the most removed from OBS, because I did most of that game on Roll20, but I did move the tokens on OBS. And then I have a crazy plan where I want to do like a visual novel-esque solo TTRPG game that I'm also writing. Because I have the idea for the story. I just need a rule set to play it. And also I want to play it through OBS, and where the captions show up at the bottom of the screen, like where they would in the visual novel. And then we have like my character's talking person on one side. And then I have pictures for all of the other characters that'll show up in their different outfits, and they'll be talking. And then as that's happening in the background, we'll have like scenes, because there's going to be a couple different locations, but we'll have a scene when we're in like the visual novel thing where we're talking to each other. Or what I want to do is I want to get a this is an inside scoop, because I've only told a couple of people about this and not stream, I don't think. I want to create a scene on OBS that is like a moving GIF, essentially, or a video. I don't know what's going to be easier, of like these little sprites moving around in the different scenes. So it's a live scene that's happening. And then us as a character, quote unquote, I don't think the scene would move, but you move over to like, well, we wouldn't move over, but like narratively, we move to talk to somebody, and then I change the scene, and it's still that scene, but now like it's the quote unquote realistic scene. And on the side, you're gonna have like the guy show up. It's right now it's just called the Critters RPG because it's gonna be with a lot of like anthropomorphic animals. The first one that I've already done one image, maybe, I don't know, we might keep it, we might not. It's a tortoise who's like barbarian-esque looking. And it's going to be on the side of the screen, kind of like it is in the visual novel. and they're going to be speaking at you. And then when they're not speaking, kind of like right now, how my guy's turning on and off when I'm talking, I want to do that same thing, but like PNG tuber esque. And then on the other side, I want to have whatever I'm going to be also doing the yapping on this side. And I want the, like I said, I want the captions in the middle. I'm trying to see if I can find a way to do captions natively. I mean, technically, I'm doing them natively, but I would like to have the captions on OBS instead of having to rely on Twitch to do them for me, just so I can keep them in that box. But you know, it is what it is. Do I have any interest in sci-fi RPGs? Yeah, I don't have any not preferences to RPGs at this moment. At this moment in time, I don't have anything I don't like. I believe. I reserve the right to, oh my god, this looks so dark. In comparison to this looks like a nighttime scene. I was thinking that this all looks very drab. It looks very 90s. I need to brighten this. Is there like a mask I can throw on you? I don't know what you expect from me with this mask. I don't know what this is doing. Oh, it's down here. No, that's not down here. Maybe this is. Is this what it is? And if I disable mask, that does nothing. So that's still not the mask. Okay. Well, I don't know what to do. Sorry, I'm like staring at this. Yeah, I have interest in sci-fi RPGs. Definitely for sure. Maybe I just don't do that and I just do a general just color correction. It's a little brighter. Oh my god. I definitely fried the edges of some of this image though. Let's fix that. All right, Sleepy Cat has properly infected me. Have a good night, Dan. Absolutely. Sometime this weekend, then I'll send you the primer. That one for sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. In fact, if I don't forget tonight, I'll do it tonight. Speaking of tonight, what time is it? I'll keep an eye out. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Have a good night and have a good weekend, Dan. Honestly, this becoming wood is probably the better idea than what I did. I need to call it soon. I want to get at least one more of these done tonight. But I do need to call it sooner rather than later. Before it gets colder, I need to take a shower. Luckily, I took a micro nap earlier today. I didn't mean to fall asleep. I was cleaning my ears. I was doing like the hydrogen peroxide, the Debrox thing. I was cleaning out my ears. Did literally, well, I don't know. Maybe it did something, but nothing like visual. It wasn't a dramatic like chunk of earwax fell out of my ear or anything. But while I was waiting for it to do its thing, I fell asleep. But only for a little bit. I was woken up very quickly thereafter. For a completely opposite reason. Oh, before I completely get sidetracked on other topics. If you guys ever have GM-less duo games, that's another reason I haven't been sending out too many of the invites to my friends, aside from not really having a set schedule, because I don't really know how taxing it's going to be collaborating with people. And like doing projects at the same time. I don't know how taxing that's going to be as of yet. So I don't want to have like a set schedule for it. But the other reason is I simply don't have a list of games to give as an example. And I simply cannot expect everyone to come with their own game ideas. That's another thing. I was planning on doing that this break, but then I realized I'm not giving myself a break. Like, just because it's a holiday doesn't mean that, like, I'm not working on this game. Let's do a smaller pan. Let's do, like, a small saucepan. You can always suggest things over on the Discord, because I simply am always looking for duo GM-less TTRPGs to do on for stream. And I will also accept solo TTRPG games. I just know more of those than I do duo GM-less games. Those are a little harder to like to search for. Looks a little bit like a mug, TBH. I've completely forgotten what other topic I was going to talk about, but yeah, so I want to do that as a side project. If I felt more proficient with making music and stuff right now, I'd probably also do music for it. Honestly, my date for it was originally February, but I do not think we're getting that done by February. That's too ambitious of a project, and I have done no work on it since I last talked about it. So time might still be coming. I do want one of these projects to be one where I spend a lot of time making music for it, because I simply just need a, like, the most intimidating part of it for me at the moment is just I don't know how to use any of the tools anymore. So it's just me sitting there and looking at everything and remembering how everything works is really what the tea is going to be there. And just relearning the programs, relearning what exists, the actual content that I own. And maybe, just maybe, if I make it a game night project, I'll actually do it instead of just talking about it. Again, that's what we're working on. Making myself do things. Because I am very easy to talk about it, much harder to actually accomplish the thing. But I would like to do the things. So it is simply getting better at that. You know what? Let me actually. That's like, I would sonically like to do something interesting. So that's another project I'm looking to start working on or find a good game uh to shoehorn that into. Oh, hello. What happened to you, little guy? Got Pac-Man. And now we're gonna take the whole image and we're gonna make it bigger. There we go. Let's save that. No, it's not pots and pans. You're probably A. Your clubs B. Or your clubs 2, actually. What's heart? Feather? Ooh. Any of these fast and easy to? Nope. Nope. All right. we'll call it there then, because I really have to go take the shower and do some stuff before it gets too late. So we'll just call it a little early, I say, after 3.5 hours of streaming. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Maybe I'll make it a lighter gray. Maybe that'll look better. I am going to spend the weekend just trying to figure out these rules. I might be cooking, but it needs more time to develop. So we'll see. It'll get done by December 18th, 19th, whatever day it is. But yeah, so once again, if you guys have any suggestions for any games, feel free to drop them over on the Discord. We have at least one channel for it. Just specify what kind of, if it's a duo GM list or if it's a solo, and I'll look into it. And I keep them all in my mind. So even if I don't choose it for like 1 month, I might choose it for a different month. Like I said, there's just a ton of games out there and not enough time. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Oh, big hiccup. Thank you guys for listening to all my ramblings. And yeah, so don't forget to nice each other. Don't forget to be compassionate. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye. And thank you once again, everyone, for watching. I really appreciate it. It is I hope you guys continue to have a wonderful Friday. I'm going to be doing some stuff and things this weekend. I don't think I'm going to be streaming, but speaking of streaming, I'm going to be nowhere this weekend. However, do I have a trooper command? I sure don't. It's okay. I can type it out. This weekend, tomorrow, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe. My good friend, Trooper SJP, and my good friend, Laugh Love Lindy are going to be doing charity streams in which they are going to be they're going to be representing two different types of two different charity groups. Trooper's going to be donating to the ACLU, and Lindy's going to be donating to, I think it's the Celiacs Association, or some kind of organization in which they help raise awareness and help with research for celiac disease. It's both for wonderful causes. They're going to be streaming between 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, if I know them, they're probably going to go longer than 11 p.m. But they're going to be playing a long game called The Lost in the Stars, I believe, in which they are lost in the stars. They're two ship captains. They spent a whole stream last week just going over and creating their captains, their crew, their ships, where they're from, what their world is like, and it looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. Trooper's going to stay in character the entire 11 hours, or at least that's what he claims, and I believe him, honestly. And then Laugh Love Lindy is going to be going in and out of character as the game progresses. So if that's of any interest to you, make sure to stop on by. They're two dear friends, and I hope I'm going to be there watching, so I hope you guys are too. They're both great people, fun people to watch too, so the chaos they're going to create together is going to be phenomenal. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. No extra ads today. I gotta get it going. So thank you guys so much once again for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Bude, for gifting a sub to Dan. No longer held to the ad gods, to the Jeff Bezos bucks. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope I see you guys over on Troopers, and if not, I'll see you here again on Monday. Have a good one, guys. Bye.